You're live, Stephen.
Well, are we live? That's the thing. I'm going to check it in a little moment, John. But welcome on in, folks, to Movie Burner Entertainment's podcast here on this Saturday night. We're actually just trialling some new software as we try to improve the production here at Movie Burner Entertainment. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin. Our other host, who I'm pretty sure will be in control of that camera any moment now, it's John Christopher Walsh, and we're here to talk.
Furiously trying to select a thumbnail.
We're here talking about all things life on Mars, Ashes to Ashes, and the potential third series called Lazarus. I think that perhaps might have been David Bowie's last song, John. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
It was, Stephen. I was reading about David Bowie, or Bowie, and his last album in the lead up to his obvious death, and just how he was micromanaging his appearances, life and whatnot. I think he had a gallery with all of his life moments, photographs and whatnot, and it was really interesting the way he was sort of stage managing appearances, and just obviously the album, the work ethic right to the bitter end. The guy was working his box off to give the world art and music, and it was, I think, one of the last songs that I recall was Black Star, and then obviously Lazarus and whatnot, I think may have been the name of the album. So I like the fact that that's been a recurring theme with this show and these characters, that it has been linked intrinsically to David Bowie, because obviously it all started with Life on Mars, my personal favourite Bowie song, and they literally play into that with the song at the end of, I think, season 1, or is it 2? I think it's 1 with the
it's 1, yeah.
With the obviously the robbery.
Yeah, that was season 2. That was the
season 2, right at the end.
The last episode.
He jumps off the building. Spoiler alert if you've not seen it. But if you haven't, where the fuck have you been? Because it's been 20 years or something.
Yeah.
And then obviously Ashes to Ashes with a whole new titular lead. Sounds weird when you say it as a Scottish person. Titular lead. You're a tit. So I like the sort of potential Lazarus finale for Sam Tyler and obviously Gene Hunt himself, the man, the mystery. I was going to do he's stylish, he's cool, he's sensitive, he knows what he wants. Yeah. He gets the job done. Sam Tyler's jacket, or just Sam Tyler jacket.
John, I was going to ask you though. Let's go back to 2006. Now, I was 30 years old at the time, and I was kind of late to the party with Life on Mars. It was yourself that actually, I think you lent me the DVDs. I think you got them one Christmas, didn't you? And you said you need to watch these. Fantastic, and the BBC out with maybe Doctor Who haven't got, in my opinion, haven't got a good track record when it comes to time travel series. It just involves me now.
Even I don't think Doctor Who is a good example of time travel
maybe not
being done well.
In comparison, 2000
London,
we were just getting that sort of. We just finished with Christopher Eccleston and getting into obviously David Tennant, so it was obviously peak point Doctor Who when Life on Mars came out. But no, I mean, John Sims, an actor, another actor who crossed over to Doctor Who and played the Master fantastically, and Philip Bannister, who I knew through other series, and I knew obviously his brother had been in quite a few things as well. And phenomenal, just a phenomenal production here. Phenomenal cast. I don't know what you're doing, and just I mean, it's one of those sort of series that I don't think, in terms of at that point, you could think if they're maybe doing 1 or 2 series, it has to end. I think one of the good things about British TV series is they go out on top. They always do that. They don't do what the Americans do and string things out like The Office for an example. But no, I think 2 seasons of Sam Tyler was fantastic, John. I know that obviously you had issues with Ashes to Ashes and the promotion of teasing.
It was disgraceful. Stephen, I really liked Ashes to Ashes. I thought it was a nice sort of continuation of the world. It was a cool idea to bring in, and I'm blanking on the actress's name.
Keely Hawes, I think.
Yeah.
Ashes
to Ashes. I'll bring it up just now. It was Kaylee Hawes, yeah, you're right, Alex Drake.
Yeah.
It was intriguing to bring in a different, because also John Sim was off doing different things. He was a big name at that point, and still is, to be fair, and a fine actor. But he was done with the story, and it was a nice way to continue the themes and bring in the likes of Gene Hunt. And it's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm going to have to bring up some of the names. Chris Skelton, Ray Carling, I know Ray Carling. Obviously, Dean Andrews, he's now acting in Emmerdale, of all places. Marshall Lancaster, I'm not entirely sure what he's been doing since way back in the day. But look, they're still a good age, Stephen. They're still in their early 50s. Well, Marshall Lancaster is anyway. I can't speak for the others. Incidentally, he always looked like a fucking extra from Blur. He looked like a guy who could be a bassist or a guitarist for Blur. Just had that vibe about him. But continuing with those characters in Ashes to Ashes, it was a really neat way to continue on without John Sim.
Yeah.
And I think to be fair to the showrunners and the writers, they'd already kind of written the Sam Tyler character out of the story. His sort of role was done.
Yeah.
And it was Gene Hunt as this, what he's almost like it's not purgatory, but he's almost like in charge of all of these wayward souls that have passed over to the other side, and he's kind of guiding them and slowly but surely showing them the light and allowing them to pass over. That's the kind of theme. It's purgatory, it's the afterlife, and these souls finding peace before they move off into a different realm or heaven, whatever you want to call it. So it was a nice way to continue on that story. But yeah, going back, Steve and Sam Tyler, they'd done Fans of Life on Mars and these two shows in general dirty by showing, and I think it was your man, Daniel Mays, obviously of Rogue One fame and numerous other TV shows. It was his character. He was playing the devil, wasn't he? I think in Ashes to Ashes. And I think it was his outline in the glass, this sort of steamed glass. And they were kind of heavily hinting that it was Sam Tyler. And everyone was buzzing that Sam was going to come back, and me being one of them, because I love John Sim. Seen him in a whole host of different things. That blonde-haired geezer back in the day as well. He was in one with him. I think he was in The Hustle.
He was in Life on Mars, I know. He was in
he was in Life on...
He was in The Hustle, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he was in numerous shows back in the mid to late 2000s.
John Sim and Philip Glenister did that thing, that Sky One series, you know, the dead body they had to hide and then they were on the run. Well, he was in that as well. I can't remember what it's called. Mad Dog.
That's the one I was thinking about. That's the exact show I was fucking thinking about.
Yeah, Mad Dog.
Mad Dog, yeah. What's he called, Stephen? That was a great show as well, by the way.
It was fantastic. That was
a brilliant TV show.
Yeah.
What's he called, Stephen?
I can't remember the chap's name, but he's a good actor.
I can't remember his name. That's
he was in an episode of Life on Mars. He was the one that was trying to pull the plug on Sam's life support machine in the future.
Mark Warren.
Mark Warren.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good actor.
But yeah, I mean, Stephen, obviously, going back to Ashes, they did his dirty with Sam Tyler. Everyone just assumed Sam was coming back, and there was a great buzz going into the finale of Ashes to Ashes. And of course, it turned out it wasn't Sam Tyler, it was Daniel Mays' character. And look, I love Daniel Mays as well. He's a great actor. And that character in particular, that was a nice way to sort of conclude things. But it wasn't great as a fan of Life in Marston, and obviously Sam Tyler being the main man alongside Gene Hunt to be conned like that. So a way of redeeming it would potentially be them bringing back Sam. Stephen, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to try and bring it up because I've not worked with this software before. So it's going to be a car crash, I'm sure. Obviously, this is a whole different thing. We'll go on to this. I wrote about this as well on the Movie Burner website. This new theatrical production.
Yeah.
That are going to be going down, which is interesting. We'll get into that because another big sort of I wouldn't call Life on Mars a franchise, but another big sort of franchise, for lack of a better word, Harry Potter, has done that whole thing where it started out as a life on very much the silver screen TV movie. Also started out as a book and then was adapted and put onto big screen, on the big screens as a movie franchise. Then they jumped over with The Cursed Child to a West End London theatrical production, and they continued the story through a very different medium. And also that's great for the show creators because they get an opportunity to reconnect with the story, with the source material, and do it in a different way that challenges them. And Steve, you've spoke time and again, man, on here about Tarantino and obviously his desire to shuffle off well at some sort of peak period as a director, and then maybe dip his toes into stage production and theatres and whatnot. It's always something that these artistic-minded people like to do. They like to do different kinds of content, but that's not what I'm here to talk about just at this moment. I'm going to bring this up, Stephen, because obviously Sam Tyler screwing the fans over with a potential appearance and then whipping the fucking rug out from under them and saying, "What are you talking about, bitch? That wasn't Sam Tyler's silhouette. That was Daniel May's." Of course it was. Fucking wasn't. It was Sam Tyler. This could be a way for them to kind of redeem it by bringing the man back. Now, Stephen, I'm conflicted with this because I want to see Sam back. I want to see John Sims back, and I do love Gene Hunt, and I love Ray, and I think Chris, and even the woman as well, the actress. She was an interesting character too. I'm going to bring her up. Liz White, Annie Cartwright. I want to see all these great characters coming back because it's a genuinely great TV show. They describe it in one of the articles I read as a seminal TV experience, and it was back in the day. It was one of the best and remains one of the best things that the BBC has ever created. And look, they've worked with Cumberbatch and a man whose name's eluding me at the moment was in The Hobbit. Why am I blanking on his name? Martin Freeman with the likes of Sherlock Holmes. So they've got a history of putting out high caliber content, the BBC, but this is definitely right up there, Life in Mars. What better way to get the fans back on side if you'd lost them with that nonsense? And what better way to maybe reconnect than to bring these characters back? Having said that, you alluded to it, Stephen. Maybe not with the BBC.
No, I think, John,
for the creators, bring it back. Maybe not the BBC because I don't think that platform is at its pomp just now.
You're talking 20 years ago since obviously Life in Mars, and maybe about 17, 18 years ago for Ashes to Ashes, but some of the dialogue, and particularly from Gene Hunt, just would not be broadcast now. I mean, it was quite controversial even in 2006 what he was coming out with, but there was an acceptance of as part of a period in time, which is not tolerated anymore. John, we've seen the edit for the Beatles anthology that came out in Disney at the end of last year, and a lot of that's been cut for the same kind of reasons. And I think that's, the BBC are under the cosh at the moment with different things going on, but I would rather see take a new life, a new form, and on a Netflix or perhaps even Dave, something like that. Red Dwarf did it, and they did it successfully. They took it away from the BBC and then put it on Dave, and it's got the fans
up on YouTube.
It's got a cult following, and people will watch it. People will subscribe to watch that.
Yeah. Did the final season of Red Dwarf not air on YouTube?
Probably did.
I think it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
No, Stephen, I mean, I'll read this article very briefly, and obviously we've got the words from co-creator Ashley Farrell. Yeah. I can never say that word. Just funnily enough, I can never say Arabic either, and that's kind of from a similar region. Not quite. It's maybe a couple of thousand miles to the west, the Arabic regions. I'm saying it right now, I believe, but I struggle with that word for some reason. But Farrell, you think of Egypt. I'm not going to get down this rabbit hole of waffling. Who gives a shit? Her name's Ashley Farrell. Let's move on. This was her words, speaking to The Sun. Something stirring in the light. I don't know why I'm looking to the left. I don't know why I've got it on this monitor when I've got a fucking 32-inch curved monitor right in front of me, and it'd be much easier just to fucking read it there. And in fact, I'm going to read through the capture in StreamYard on the bigger monitor instead of looking like that. Let's look here. Something is stirring in the life on Mars world. I'm sworn to secrecy, but the Cortina isn't ready for the scrapyard just yet. It never will be. A classic car, just like that Audi TT Quattro, which I was desperate to get my hands on back in the day. It really puzzled us that no one wanted to make Lazarus. The fans certainly did. We had always planned to do 3 series, not 2. I remember there was a bit of worry from the BBC, and then also the BBC go on to say there are no plans for Life on Mars to return to the BBC. Well, that's absolutely fine. You can fuck off, BBC, and we'll take the show to Netflix, like you said, Stephen, or to Prime, or
John,
to another.
it's never going to have that sort of wider appeal when you do shift over, because BBC has a staple audience, always has for the best part of 70 years
Netflix
and more. But John, Red Dwarf has got a cult following. Life in Mars has got a cult following. And the only one I can think of that changed over from ITV to BBC was Auf Wiedersehen Pet for season 3 and season 4, and that's my worry. It's not a period drama, but it's capturing that sort of time, and because Life in Mars it's all about that. It's all about a period in time, the 70s, the 80s, and I would imagine perhaps maybe the third season is going into the 1990s.
Yeah.
Culturally, things have changed. Socially, things have changed, and it's how you handle that. And I think the BBC are too nervous
from the 90s, though. Do you not think the 90s, even by that point, that we'd moved on quite a bit as a culture in the United Kingdom from the 1970s? Because you think the 70s is like the Wild West.
Auf Wiedersehen Pet season 3 came out in the early 2000s and suffered for the same reason. They had to tone down Oz character, Timmy Nail. They had to tone down certain dialogues and beliefs and the way that character thought, and his process, his ignorance, And although people have, you don't have to be educated to understand that not everyone's at the same level in terms of their sort of outlook on life and outlook on people as a whole. There is people out there that are ignorant. They don't mean to be offensive, but they just have a blinkered view of the world, and nothing's going to change that. And the Oz character was very similar to that. Gene Hunt, on the other hand, is very similar in that sense. He's stuck in his ways. We've seen a softer side to him, of course, in Ashes to Ashes, especially when he's working, with Alex, and particularly those last couple of episodes, which were quite emotional. We found out the truth about Gene Hunt and his demise. He was a young officer that was buried, I think, in a shallow grave, But in terms of the character and his makeup, that's what my worry is. I don't want to see that change in that character, because that's what made the character appealing. His honesty, his brutal honesty, ignorance as well, but his brutal honesty. But
he was a byproduct of the 1970s, Steve, the early 1970s. He was a hard-hitting bastard of a cop. And look, I wasn't alive in the 1970s, but certainly I've got uncles who were alive and were a bit roguish at times, and certainly got the attention of certain roguish and brutal police officers, and certainly he fits that sort of identity of those guys that very much existed back in the day. They wouldn't think twice of beating the shit out of even a 14-year-old, 15-year-old who stepped out of line. It was a different environment, a different time. PC wasn't a thing, and you see that in the comedy. Back in the day, people were much more aggressive in their presenting of jokes. I personally don't like the likes of Roy Chubby Brown. I think he's an absolute fucking bell end, but certainly his brand of comedy seemed to get over well with a whole lot of people back in the day. And certainly you see the likes of Noel Gallagher kind of taking the piss and maybe featuring him in a video and whatnot. So he was a big part. These characters, these individuals that had these views of the world 30, 40, 50 years ago were a big part of many lives. And you just can't whitewash that out of history because you disagree with it. Maybe it's not jiving, to use a 70s term or 80s term, with 2026. That's not the way life works. These people existed. Culture in that vein existed 40, 50 years ago. And if you set a TV show in that time period, you've got to do it right. You've got to be faithful to it.
Let's see that, John. You can't have the values of the 2020s with a series set in the 1990s. It just wouldn't feel authentic. John, this is one of the things I'm concerned about, obviously. The stage show that we obviously briefly mentioned is that, part of the appeal of Life in Mars and Ashes to Ashes was the aesthetics, and I know that I think Life in Mars was a little bit more grounded when it came to the aesthetics of the fashion, the cars, the sort of life viewpoint of these actors or characters. And, Ashes to Ashes sort of went larger in life with it. It was almost like every character in it was, going on top with pops that night. They were all makeup, hairspray, hairstyles and stuff like that. But I
was that not what the 80s was like?
Not where I lived.
Everybody, you're telling me not everyone was like Eddie Van Halen and fucking Ozzy Osbourne or
John, I mean,
Madonna.
perhaps where I came from, do you get a head kicked in if you try to get about like...
Stephen, it's like the 1990s stuff that they try and represent as the 1990s nowadays, where everyone's jumping about with multicoloured fluorescent baggy tracksuits, and it's just bullshit. People, well, I'm sure, wore tie-dye t-shirts back then, but my recollection of the 1990s, I was young, but it was mostly really plain, like, was it Benetton? Was that the name of the company?
The sweater
Fruit
shop.
of the Loom sort of t-shirts and Calvin Klein or stuff like that. Reebok jumpers with stonewashed jeans. I'm sure it was maybe different parts of the world did different things. I'm sure that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was representative of certain places in America, but certainly not over here. No. People weren't wearing that shit. They liked their reefer jackets like Sam Tyler, even in the 1990s. You've seen that with Ocean Colour Scene and whatnot. That was representative. Shirts, baggy ass shirts with trousers. I mean, that was a thing. But not, I mean, it's on steroids. It's like the whole Stranger Things and...
That was the other part, John. The other part I was going to mention in terms of the aesthetics, obviously the fashion and the look and stuff, was the music as well. The soundtrack for Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes was fantastic. The way they selected those particular songs to obviously tie in with the sequences was really well done, I felt. You know, I think... I mean, I think I had Life on Mars soundtrack on CD.
You know, I need to bring that up.
But I thought it was great. I thought it was great for its time. And this is another thing I suppose you could do on...
Because they had Blockbuster as well, didn't they? Sweet.
Yeah. Well, they had a whole host of songs all throughout the series. Great.
I need to bring that up and have a little look and see what it actually was. I mean, I don't actually remember what the soundtrack was, but Stephen, you're right. That's what makes it an authentic experience. If you're going to set a show in a period, or have a period piece, be it the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, that's for me what makes the early stages of Back to the Future, and even the later stuff with also Chuck Berry, him riffing off of Johnny B. Good. But Mr. Sandman, when he steps into the square, that gives you a level of authenticity because it's something you can hang your hat on and say that's from that time period.
But they can do that away, for the show, John. They can do the music. I've not any concerns about that because Back to the Future, you just mentioned, this became a musical as well. You know, and I think, you know, that's part of the experience. It's part of the makeup of that film and that era. You know, and particularly with Back to the Future, because you've got the songs from the 1980s in there. And obviously, as you mentioned, the songs from the 1950s. So it's that authenticity. And it's I'm sure in terms of the stage show, it will be a high level production in terms of getting the clothing right and getting the music right as well. But it'll be interesting, John, because I think anyone who goes and sees this stage show will get some kind of idea of what potentially the TV series could be like, you know?
Yeah, I'll bring that up, Steve, and I'll get on to the stage show. But I mean, look at that soundtrack. It's incredible. Rocket Man. You've got Starman by Bowie, Life on Mars, Venus, Ballroom Blitz. It's just got, I mean, the Raspberries have got really interesting sort of mixtures of music. Whiskey in the Jar, I Am a Rock, Simon and Garfunkel, Lou Reed. So yeah, I mean, the Velvet Underground, Paul Simon. It's just a really, I think Cream was in there at one point as well. I seen, I couldn't have been because Cream were long gone. They split up in 1968, but I seen something about Cream. But yeah, I mean, Stephen, a fantastic soundtrack. And again, that added a level of enjoyability to the show. And then just a little references to other things like the football, Manchester City, Man United.
Yeah,
the derby, and you've seen the different scarves and whatnot. That was really intriguing. Incidentally, Man United absolutely pumped City today. And I'm not a huge fan of modern day Manchester United, but over City, if it's between City and Man United, it's United all day long. For me, proper football club, City are a fucking plastic club. And well done, United, for putting them in their place, because I'm an Arsenal man, so I want to see Arsenal win in the league. But Stephen, yeah, obviously in the fucking shat the bed again today, but that's neither here nor there. As you did say, Stephen, you alluded to it, the sort of stage thing. You've got co-creator Matthew Graham.
Yeah.
Who has hinted that there's going to be a new stage show, and I'm reading here obviously reimagine the show. They're going to push the boundaries. And Steve, that's something I like to see. Again, I spoke about it with the Cursed Child. It allows them to do something different. You don't necessarily have to bring back John Sim or Philip Lannister or all the original actors. You can do something different. You can shake it up. You can make, I think in that instance, Hermione Granger was played by a black actress. And also you had the usual imbeciles losing their minds. Oh, Hermione's not black. Well, it doesn't fucking matter, does it? Because it's a stage show. And regardless, it's played by a great actress and they're giving their best on the stage show. It's something different for you to consume different stories within a familiar world. It allows them to push the boundaries, as he does allude to. And also, we speak to Radio Times, we want to say, nothing to do with third season, so that's good. You're not going to have that blend over that leaves the door open for them to do something entirely new with that third season. So, Stephen, I don't know, is that something I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I go to theatre productions. I don't. John, certainly with this work probably won't come out the West End of London.
Yeah,
and if it does, it'll be in Edinburgh.
Yeah, if anywhere here, it would be Edinburgh. You're right, John, at the Playhouse. But I think in terms of the stage show, it's really something for the fans of the series, and giving them something back. And I think perhaps maybe in the background, the writers and the co-creators of Life on Mars are hoping perhaps maybe it gathers some momentum that some studio might want to pick up a third season. But I think the problem with that is that everything was sort of revealed at the end of Ashes to Ashes, and if they had originally planned 3 series of different sort of stories and different cast members or main characters, it might have worked, because obviously Life on Mars had 2 seasons, like Ashes to Ashes had 3, and perhaps maybe if Lazarus was a potential third series, they might have shortened Ashes to Ashes down to 2 series and kept that reveal of what this was all about for Lazarus, which I think would have been pretty epic if they did. But it's where do you go with it? Where do you go with the stage show? Because it's all Life on Mars focused, and I don't want them to skip by the Ashes to Ashes experience because that was a big part of the story, and particularly in that last season. And I mean, if it did come to Glasgow, I probably would be interested to go and see it, just to see what it's about. I don't think they'll get Philip Glenister and John Sim back for a stage show, to be honest with you, John.
I don't think that's No, I don't think that's the route they want to go down, Stephen. I think they want to do a retelling of the story, tailored to the stage experience, and they'll bring in an all-new cast, and it'll be, like you said, to an extent probably neutered down, because you can't get away with saying some of the stuff that Gene Hunt said
that's my worry.
in the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the big concern, Stephen, for a third season, that you have to sort of comply with modern day ethics and political correctness to the point where you've just lost track of what the characters are, what their whole, to be a twat and say it, French thing, raison d'etre, is the whole what makes them tick. If you rip the heart out of Gene Hunt and make him this watered down PC version, then there's no point in doing the show, because the character is what he is.
But that's what I liked about the Sam Tyler character. He corrected Gene Hunt many a times on his political correctness. He says, Gene, you can't say that, and obviously he did, but it tackled social instances of racism and prejudice and sexism. It tackled those things, and maybe not the conventional way of saying, that's wrong, you shouldn't do that. Through John Sim's character, Sam, he was there to correct that, to say that's not on, and you've got to remember the Annie character as well. Dare I say it, a bit of a joke character in the eyes of all the male colleagues, in the first few episodes. But Sam saw something in her, and it wasn't mansplaining or anything like that. He was trying to highlight, this officer's got potential. It doesn't matter if she's a woman or a man, she's got the desire, the passion to succeed in this career. And that's the kind of message that Sam was trying to convey to these other characters, so there is a positive spin in there as well that people do forget, because I think Gene was such a overwhelming character, you know, and his delivery and his speech at times was very powerful, you know, and offending.
I was going to say that. I mean, obviously, it's not views that you would share in modern times, but see, ultimately, if you're that butthurt and offended by things that he's saying, then I think you've got an incredibly, and I mean incredibly shallow skin. But you have to step out into the real world and experience what's going on outside of your echo chamber, of your sort of circle of whatever, and just get a fucking dose of reality. Because life, there's so much worse gets said outside, even in these days. Life isn't X or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. It's real. People are CUNTs, and they say some horrible things. So ultimately, I was never really offended by Gene Hunt. I actually really enjoyed the character and his brazenness, and just the way he sort of was a representation of old school policing, getting in there, getting your hands dirty. As long as justice is served, it doesn't matter how we get to it. Obviously, Sam was much more modern, going through paperwork and doing things the right way, and I liked that sort of conflict, the sort of mismatched buddy element of the show. And ultimately, that's where my concerns. I'm all for seeing a third season of Life on Mars. I love the show. I've always loved the show. I love the characters. I love the way they presented it. I love the way it was mired in music and whatnot of the time. And obviously, Bowie was a constant theme throughout the whole thing and would continue to be. But my biggest concern is they've kind of told the story to its conclusion via Ashes to Ashes. They never brought Sam back. And I almost feel like it's a Star Wars sequel trilogy post The Force Awakens, where you had an opportunity to tell the story. You could have left it open in Ashes to Ashes, or did something different with the finale of Ashes to Ashes, and then came back and told the story they told in the finale of Ashes to Ashes via Tyler and Hunt and all the other guys, and a third Life on Mars show. Now that that's not been told, I struggle to see how they're going to retcon some of those elements to justify bringing John Sim back and making it work organically. I don't know how you can tell that story. Bring him back, bring them all back. Obviously, the clue's there. Lazarus came back from the dead, didn't he? That was the whole biblical tale. So, I mean, I'm sure they've got something up their sleeves. I'm sure there's some reason that they're trying to explore this and bring it back to give these characters some final send-off.
I think a lot of series, when we're sort of rebooting or, you know, going in for a new season after such a, you know, a lengthy period away, they perhaps maybe hope that they can get those original actors back, you know, to play some part, even if it's a passing of the baton. You know, you could have maybe Sam, Gene, and Alex in there, you know, perhaps maybe not leading, you know, but having an influence, supporting role. Because you've got to remember, Life on Mars, Gene Hunt character was a supporting character, you know, intentionally from the very beginning. But I think just Philip Glenister's performance brought that character into being the main character, if you like, you know, for Ashes to Ashes. If you look at the billing, Gene Hunt is the main character. You know, whereas obviously Sam is the main character in Life on Mars, but that's just because of how well Philip Glenister played the character. But you can take that evolution one stage further and have those three as supporting characters, having a major part in the story, but perhaps maybe a new character's fell into this combo and he needs guidance, you know.
Someone that's maybe connected to Tyler.
Yeah, they can't do anything about any reveals or anything like that, because that's been done, as you said, John. But there is, it just really depends what angle they're coming from.
And that would tie in with the 90s.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's not the 70s, it's not the 80s, it's a new character coming in. And maybe, like you said, Drake, Tyler, Hunt, all the gang get together and have one sort of great swan song season set in the 90s, helping another sort of leading sort of police themed character in a different decade. That'd be very intriguing, Stephen. I mean, maybe an opportunity.
It's been a while since I've watched these series. I think maybe a couple of years, 2-3 years since I watched Life on Mars. I think it popped up on Netflix for a short period, and I watched it again, and then Ashes to Ashes as well. And one of the things that I forgot was that some of the characters within, particularly with Ashes to Ashes, when they revealed the demise of how these characters actually died. Some of them were in the 80s, some of them in the 90s. Because I think Wonderwall was played over, I think Shaz, was it? Was that the character? Shaz,
yeah.
That she was great. I liked her. Montserrat, I can't remember her second name, Cabal or something like that. I can't remember what her second name was. But she was a product of the 1990s. Her death was in the mid-90s, but she's been put back into the 1980s for obviously this scenario. And I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, John, I think the longer these characters stay in limbo status, they start forgetting their real lives. They start forgetting the period of time they came from, and they blend into that 1970s and Life on Mars 1980s for Ashes to Ashes, as I recall.
Yeah, because obviously with Chris, I think he gets shot, didn't he, during a shootout? I think he was hit. And obviously Ray was a particularly tragic one. I think he ended up taking his own life. Yeah. So yeah, Stephen, that was obviously hard watching if you're a fan of the show and you connected with these characters over 5 seasons. But no, you're right. I think that I mean the timeline doesn't really matter in terms of where the characters were in their actual lives. It's they just seem, and I suppose that represents the timelessness of what not having a physical body. Once you're gone, you're kind of going to this sort of, I don't know how to explain it because I'm not not passed away that I'm aware of. So I don't know what happens, but it's sort of spiritual plane, yes, where time itself ceases to be a thing, and then you can maybe just be plopped into a different era with all these other disembodied souls. So it's probably representing that concept. Stephen, that's what I really liked about this show back in the day, man. It was and it's sort of meat and bones form. It was just a great police mismatched body sort of thing where there was crimes being committed. They had to deal with it. You had sort of gags, you had jokes, you had all the sort of period costumes and cars and music. But there was depth to it. There was existentialism being dabbled with. There was all this sort of interesting thematics being explored in the show. And that's what all great TV shows have. You've got more than just a simple construct. You've got different things going on under the surface for people to bond with and connect with. And ultimately, that's why, regardless of PC going mad and how they'd handle that, I would still be intrigued to see this, preferably on a different platform to the BBC, because the BBC has just lost its way to the point where I can't remember the last time they put out something I'd actually want to sit down and watch in terms of a TV show.
Yeah. It's been a while.
They used to be truly, truly great. They used to put out brilliant content. And I'm talking
on a weekend, John,
over a long time.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned, obviously we mentioned the Sky One series, Mad Dogs, but you were a massive fan of The Hustle back in the day.
Hustle was brilliant, yeah. It was a great TV show.
Good cast, but no, I can't remember the last time I've actually looked forward to anything.
If you're a fan of the Traitors, then you're in luck.
Yeah,
this
is one of the things. I mean, I was going to mention, John, in terms of Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes, this kind of content does translate well to a stage show because it's heavily drama. It's dialogue heavy. It doesn't need action sequences. I mean, there's some great action sequences, car chases and stuff like that. But that's
and obviously costume changes, Stephen.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pop in and out with all these mad, extravagant costumes from the 1980s, 1970s.
Yeah,
and it just allows actors and actresses to really get out there and enjoy themselves and give a performance. And I'm sure there'll be interaction from the crowd and whatnot. I've never been one to really go to a theatre. I feel I've missed out. I feel it would. I mean, obviously when I was a kid, I went to pantomimes, but it's not really the same thing, is it? I mean, that's for children. It's written on a really basic level for kids. He's behind you. Oh no, he isn't. Oh yes, he is. It's not the same thing as a sort of well scripted and mature piece of theatre work. I mean, we've seen Radcliffe do it in Broadway, and
I mean, in terms of where we are, we've got some good theatres. We've obviously got the Citizens Theatre, which is more independent sort of productions, and if you want that kind of thing, then you've obviously got the Theatre Royal. You've got
Royal,
King's Theatre. You've got the Pavilion as well. So But these are all, I don't want to say they're low end, they're certainly not. They're high quality productions in there, John.
Pavilions took a lot of scalps over the years in terms of comedic output.
Yeah, because I
We
think
had the English comedians coming up here thinking they were the shit and feigning passing out on the stage because they were found out. Fucking frauds.
But I think
get a laugh easy up here, son.
I think if anything, John, if this production, if they're going ahead with the stage show, I think it would. I can't see it making its trip up north. To be honest, I don't know if there's that hunger in Scotland for Life on Mars as there is in
hunger for a lot of things in Scotland.
Nah, it's just
sadly
culturally
not one of them.
In that sense. You know, it's
if it's not got Buckfast or white powder involved, then usually the vast majority of the country are not interested.
Pizzas that truly fried.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a truly pathetic country at times. I mean, I love the country, but I also hate it. Don't know what else to say. I hate it. I've not been to the Highlands that I'm aware of, so I can't speak of the true scenic greats of the country, but I can speak of the depravity of the East End of Glasgow. And I'm telling you right now, I've seen firsthand why we were the stab, the murder capital of Europe for so many years. I've fucking missed decapitations by minutes.
We need some Gene Hunts up here.
We do. We had Gene Hunts up here, Stephen. We had Gene Hunts up here, both literal and metaphorical.
Some James Blunts
euphemistically.
As well.
We had euphemistic Gene Hunts up here, and we still do it, to be fair. And we had a literal Gene Hunts. I think there was one, I can't remember, I'm not from that time period. I heard about a copper though. It was a right bastard. In fact, I think my grandfather had a run-in with him and told him in no uncertain terms, you ever get near my son again, I'm going to put my fucking size 9s right up your arse. He didn't get near him again.
Yeah.
But no, Stephen, I'm looking forward to it. I'll be intrigued to see how the theatrical aspect plays out. It's a totally different kind of storytelling. Always wanted to see The Cursed Child. I don't think it ever came up here, and I'm not going to do a 45-minute flight down to London to watch it. I'm not that intrigued. But look, Tom Felton came back and played Draco. He reprised his role as Draco Malfoy. So again, there is that opportunity. If a John Sim or a Philip Lannister wanted, or whoever wanted to come back and portray a character, maybe for a couple of nights or whatever, there is always that opportunity for them to come in and do it. And certainly John Sim strikes me as being a guy who would be well interested in doing theatrical work. I can't say for certain, but I think he definitely reeks of having sort of stage work. I'm going to search it up just now. John Sim. I bet he has. John Sim, stage. No, fucking what are you talking about? Yeah, definitely. He definitely did. He played Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol. And he's got future plans to play at the Theatre Royal Bath. So yeah, he is. He's a stage. I mean, Stephen, all these guys are just tailor-made for this. They're proper actors. Even Philip Lannister, these aren't just guys that appear on the TV for BBC productions. These are proper actors we're talking about here. There's a reason the show was so fucking good. It was good because it was proper actors, proper script writers or screenwriters, properly done. And this is what we need to get back to. In the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, we need to get back to high calibre content, get out there on the screens. None of this traitors shite, none of this Love Island, the only way is Essex. Get that in the fucking bin and get high calibre content like this back on the screens. But I'm waffling here, man. We're 43 minutes in. I don't know if you've got anything else to say.
I haven't, John.
This was just a test stream.
We've lasted this long, considering we've not really done a lot of live shows this year so far. And, you know, we had one topic to talk about because we were really just trialing our new software, and I think it's working okay. I
need to go back and watch Ashes to Ashes.
Yeah.
And Life on Mars. It's been a long time. I did have the box sets back in the day.
Yeah.
But stupidly, I get rid of all the box sets. I don't know why.
DVD player.
Yeah, I've not even got anything that my PC doesn't even have a CD-ROM. A CD-ROM, you remember that? I remember when I was in school back in the day. Hey, you boy, what are you doing with that CD-ROM? He's not doing anything with any CD-ROM, you fucking imbecile. He's hacking into the newsletter. That's what he's doing. But that's going to round it up. I don't know how to end this because I usually use a Stream Deck and I can't for the life of me work out how I would incorporate StreamYard
top right
Stream Deck.
Top right
No,
says
no,
end.
I'll end it. Yeah, no, I'll end it, but I have to do the whole spiel of ending the actual stream, Stephen.
Yeah.
I can't just click end stream, although I've done it before. I've got to do the usual shite. When I say, if you've enjoyed what you've perhaps been seeing here, or if you can even understand a single word we've said, then why don't you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications? Make sure you enable all notifications, and then you'll get to see a notification popping up anytime we go live, anytime we put a piece of content out on the channel. That's how you enable it. Like the video if you've enjoyed it as well. Dislike it if you've hated it. It doesn't really matter. No one can see it. We can't see it. And even if we did see it, we wouldn't give a shit. It's all about interaction. And good or bad, it helps the channel. So nothing is worse than ambivalence. Nothing. We don't like shoulder shrugs, although I did back in the day. That's how I built my delts and my trapezoid muscle, which I'm quite impressed with. I look like a small man, but I can assure you this is a large chair. Like or dislike, and that's all it's left to be said, really. Thank you once again for watching this, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.